It's the latest in a string of bad news for the Phoenix Police Department, and add to that one of its own officers charged with murder for killing an unarmed man in a domestic violence dispute. Some say Phoenix PD is a department in crisis, and some blame Police Chief Jack Harris. Mark Spencer is the president of the police union known as PLEA. He's been perhaps the most vocal critic of Chief Harris. Mark, thanks for joining us tonight. Let me take you back to 05, 06, just for some perspective here. Baseline killer captured, serial shooters captured. Jack Harris is riding high. Nobody's calling for his head back then, and he's maybe regarded as one of the best police chiefs in the country. Then 07 rolls around. What happened?
At that point in time, retired Phoenix Police Chief Jack Harris, who had signed a contract with the state that said, I will not come back to the same position, did indeed, and was hired back by the city council and the city manager to come back in the same position.
This is the double dipping business, right?
Absolutely. That is absolutely what it is.
Okay, so Harris retires as police chief, starts collecting a pension, and then he's still making a salary about $190 grand a year. Now, in an interview last week that I conducted with the chief, he said that he defended this idea that he was rehired, and said not only was it a good idea, he said you guys backed that idea. PLEA, take a listen.
The position was not created by me. The position was created by the city manager and unanimously approved by the mayor and council, and the Phoenix Law Enforcement Association was asked, and they said, yes, we agree with that position, and we agree that Jack Harris should have the job.
Mark Spencer, reaction?
The former president of the union certainly did agree, but as far as a board agreement, that couldn't be further from the truth. I would vehemently disagree with Chief Harris on that.
So you're saying PLEA did not back this?
Absolutely not. We took an oath to uphold the law, and that was in clear violation of the pension statute.
Okay, now you've made it clear that you want the chief out. And I talked to the chief about you, and this is what he said.
He started that from the first time that he took office, was that he was going to get the police chief fired, and followed on the heels with immigration enforcement. And that has been very divisive to the organization. I continue to do what I feel is appropriate and right. The door is open. It has always been open. If he wants to sit down and talk about issues, we can do that. He prefers to take his issues to the media.
Okay, Mark, is there some common ground where you and the chief could meet and settle some of these issues, or is it just beyond that?
Well, where there is common ground is between the chief and my children when they were small. When I would hold them accountable for not doing a task, they would whine. And one of the things that we made certain that our members would receive from us as their servants and their representatives, that we were going to hold management publicly accountable. The city manager and the city council refused or was unable to hold upper-level police management accountable. So it was important to us that upper-level management was held to the same standard that rank-and-file officers were, and that the citizens of Phoenix deserved.
Okay, let me get to the other issue that seems to be where you and Jack Harris have gone sideways, and it's over the issue of enforcing illegal immigration. Take a listen to the chief and what he says about his take on this whole thing.
My philosophy is, if you're in this country illegally and you commit a crime, you should go to jail, you should serve your entire sentence, and when you're released from jail, you should be turned over to ICE and deported out of the country. If you come back, you should be charged with a felony. Do I think that the Phoenix Police Department should divert all of our resources to chase day laborers whose crime is they're here working and their only violation is an administrative immigration status? No.
Mark Spencer?
I think the chief is struggling with reality. Since 2008, we have been allowed a discretionary phone call to ICE, whereas if an officer had reasonable suspicion to believe a person was in the country illegally, they could make a discretionary phone call to ICE if that person was connected with the crime. In that 3-year period, we delivered to ICE 3,000 individuals with no additional cost, no drain on manpower, no additional crime, and without a single civil rights, racial profiling, or bias policing complaint.
You're saying enforce the law.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we took an oath to do.
Mark, you want the chief out. Has it gotten to that point? You're calling on him to resign, and just set me straight if that's not the case.
Well, let me set you straight. I don't want the chief out. Phoenix police officers want the chief out, and I think the citizens are clearly making it known it's time for a change. They made a change in Dallas, and that was just with a football coach. Change is difficult, but change is good. And the citizens of Phoenix are in a crisis of confidence right now, and that needs to be focused at the guy at the top. The buck needs to stop somewhere.
Okay. Mark Spencer, the president of PLEA, and by the way, Jack Harris in his entire interview can be seen on Fox 10 Newsmaker Sunday, and Chief Harris said during that interview he is not going anywhere. If the city manager wants him out, he'll leave, but he is not going to resign. Mark Spencer, appreciate your time tonight.
You
Thank
bet, John.